You are 23 years old. Your name, for the purposes of this story, is you. But let's say your coworker is a guy named Marcus. Marcus opened a checking account at a national bank when he was 17 because his mother made him. He deposits his paycheck every 2 weeks. The direct deposit hits on Fridays, and by Sunday, most of it is gone. Rent, car insurance, a phone bill that somehow keeps creeping up. At this level, the bank does not see Marcus as a customer in any meaningful sense. He is a liability wrapped in a deposit account, and the bank has a very specific set of tools designed to extract value from people like him. People whose balance hovers between $0 and $2,500, because at this tier, the bank cannot make money off the spread the way they can with wealthier clients. So they make it off the fees. The overdraft fee is $35. Marcus knows this, but there's a Tuesday in October. His car registration came out 3 days early. He forgot. He's exhausted from a double shift, and the charge hits at 11:47 p.m. Then a second one clears right after it. $70. Gone. For having $72 in his account when he needed $74. He calls the number on the back of the card. He waits 19 minutes. A representative named. And you've probably spoken to one just like her. A representative reads from a script. I can see the fees were applied correctly, sir. Correctly. Not fairly. Correctly. This is the first rule. At the bottom tier, the bank profits from your instability. Every missed payment, every low balance, every overdraft is a revenue event for them. They are not rooting for you to figure it out. The entire fee structure at this level is essentially a tax on being poor, and it compounds. Because the $70 Marcus lost to overdraft fees is $70 he can't use to build a buffer. And without a buffer, the next overdraft is more likely, not less. The branch experience at this level is a study in institutional indifference. You walk in and you wait. There are rope barriers and plastic chairs and a television mounted high on the wall playing cable news. The teller is pleasant. She's a person. She's doing her job, but she has 11 people behind you and a supervisor watching her average handle time. When you ask about savings options, she hands you a pamphlet. When you ask about loans, she pulls up a screen, types for a moment, and her face does something that isn't quite a wince, but is close. You need to speak with a personal banker. The personal banker has a 7-day wait for an appointment. At this tier, the bank's digital experience is technically available to you. The app works, but the features that matter, wealth-building tools, investment options, early direct deposit that actually lands early, those are premium features, locked behind account tiers that require minimum balances you don't have. The product you can access is the product they designed for someone they expect to remain exactly where they are. Something changes when you hit $10,000 for the first time. Not at the bank. Inside you. You will remember the exact moment. Maybe you're sitting at your kitchen table at 11:22 p.m. and you open the app. You do this compulsively, the way some people check for messages, and the number reads $10,147. You stare at it. You close the app and open it again. Still there. It doesn't feel the way you thought it would. There's no fanfare. The ceiling looks the same. But there is something, a very quiet, very private thing that happens in your chest. Like a held breath you didn't know you were holding for 3 years finally releasing just slightly. You feel, for the first time, like someone who has something. That feeling matters more than the number. Because what it's really telling you is that you have, for the first time, crossed the distance between reactive and slightly defensive. You are no longer one car repair away from a fee spiral. You are not comfortable, but you are buffered. The bank still doesn't treat you dramatically differently. Not yet. The overdraft fee is still $35. The teller line still has the rope barrier. But you've started to notice something. The app occasionally surfaces a relationship offer. A CD with a rate that, if you read the fine print, is only available to accounts with $10,000 or more. It's 0.5%, which is still terrible, but it's better than the 0.01% savings rate on the basic account. And the fact that it appeared at all means you registered somewhere in the system as something other than a pure cost center. You are now, technically, a customer with potential. The psychological weight of this tier is often underestimated. This is where most people make one of two mistakes. The first mistake is relaxing. Feeling like $10,000 in savings means the work is done, spending starts creeping back up, the buffer slowly erodes. The second mistake is the opposite, hoarding. Feeling like the money in the checking account is what makes you safe, so it sits there, doing almost nothing, losing value to inflation at a rate of about $400 a year in purchasing power, while the bank lends it out at 7% and pays you back 0.01%. Neither mistake is about intelligence. Both are about not yet understanding the language of money. And the bank, let's be precise here, has no interest in teaching you that language. They benefit from your confusion at every level, just in different ways. This is the tier where you start getting mail. Not junk. Well, still mostly junk, but junk with your name spelled correctly, with better paper, with language that says things like valued customer and personalized offer. A bank in your neighborhood. Let's say you live in Charlotte, North Carolina. A bank there will start sending you pre-qualified credit card offers with real limits. Not $500. More like $7,500 or $12,000. The interest rate is still somewhere between highway robbery and felony, but they're extending it, which means they've run your profile and decided you're worth the risk. The shift at this tier is subtle but real. When you walk into a branch and wait in the teller line and eventually ask about something, a HELOC, a personal loan, refinancing, you get a slightly different quality of attention. Not night and day, but the personal banker who pulls up your profile doesn't do the almost wince anymore. Let's call him Daniel. Daniel nods a little and actually reads the screen rather than glancing and moving on. You also start to notice the existence of a tier you didn't know was there. The preferred checking account. The gold status. Whatever the branding is at your particular institution. These products didn't appear in your peripheral vision before because you weren't eligible. Now the app is subtly suggesting you might be close. The second rule is this. At this tier, the bank begins to want something from you, but it still wants more than it gives. The product offers improve, but the catch is always the minimum balance. To get the fee-free account, you need $15,000 maintained daily. To get the better savings rate, $25,000. You are perpetually being shown the next rung, and the gap between where you are and where the good products start is engineered to stay just barely out of reach. This is where your relationship with financial identity starts to complicate itself. Because the version of you that existed at $312 in a checking account felt a certain way about money. Anxious, urgent, transactional. But you at $35,000 in savings, which you built over 4 years of disciplined, sometimes painful choices, that version of you has a different posture. You walk into a branch differently. You fill out a form differently. You answer the question, what are your financial goals? With an actual answer instead of a shrug. That identity shift is real, and it's important, and it's also a trap if you're not careful. Because there's a version of this tier where someone starts to feel wealthy before they are wealthy. They buy the car. They upgrade the apartment. They start keeping up with what they imagine wealthy people look like rather than what wealthy people actually do. Priya figured this out the hard way. She'd worked in healthcare administration for 6 years, put away $42,000, felt like she was flying. Took on a new lease on a 2-bedroom she didn't need a loan, started eating out 4 times a week, bought a car she financed at 6.9% because she deserved it. 18 months later, her savings account read $11,200. She hadn't lost money to catastrophe. She'd lost it to lifestyle inflation, the silent, respectable-looking killer of financial progress at every tier. The bank didn't tell her any of this. Why would they? Her car loan was revenue. Her higher rent meant less and savings meant more dependence on credit. The system accommodated her drift. It always does. At some point, usually between $30,000 and $60,000 in total net worth, something happens that I want you to understand because it is one of the most quietly significant financial moments of most people's lives. You run the honest spreadsheet, not the optimistic one, not the one where you round up income and round down expenses and feel okay about the numbers. The honest one, the one at midnight, probably on a Sunday in late January when the holiday credit card bill just landed, where you open a blank document and you write down every single real number. What you actually bring home after tax, what the rent actually costs including utilities and the parking spot you forgot to count, what you spend on food, not what you budget, what you actually spend, which is almost always 40% higher than what you think. The subscriptions, the insurance, the minimum payments, the cost of looking normal and employed and like someone who has things under control. And then you subtract. And the number that appears, the real number, not the aspirational number, that number sits there on the screen and it does not blink and it does not apologize. For a lot of people, this is the first time they have ever seen the actual shape of their financial life. Not an impression of it, the actual shape. And it is very often not what they thought it was. This moment, not the crossing of any account balance milestone, not any product offer from any bank. This moment is the real turning point. Because the people who look at that number and close the laptop are the people who stay at this tier indefinitely. And the people who look at that number and stay with it feel the full uncomfortable weight of it, and then start building a plan based on reality rather than self-image. Those are the people who cross into the next level.